All right. Welcome everybody. Episode 16. 16. Let's call this the Joe Montana episode of the Risk Reward show. Right. So everybody, welcome. Welcome to the Risk Reward show presented by Risk Reward Media. My name is Cris Mercado, aka Mr. Risk, and I am joined by
Derrick, aka Mr. Reward.
All right. And we are all here to help you find the upside in your professional and financial lives. Today's main topic is going to be a 25-hour minimum wage, which was introduced by Bank of America for the year 2025. And I thought it was a good time to tackle this issue now about what would be an ideal minimum wage, and is $25 an hour too high, just right, or too low? And looking at the polls, the early polls that we put out, it looks like 25 an hour is too high for poll respondents. Interesting. So before we get to the main topic, first, Derrick, I want to ask how you're doing. I know you were checking out the Knicks game. So I'm not sure that did a lot to lift up your spirits, but how have you been doing?
One, I will say I'm very, very happy that the Knicks are in the playoffs. This is the first time since I think 2013. But I just wanted to start off by saying, as a Knicks fan, I hate Trae Young. I truly do. Reason being is because, one, like, I don't like him as like a Knicks fan because he hit that game-winning shot. But also, if the roles were reversed, I would do the exact same thing in terms of like talking trash to the crowd. But I've watching that game and watching him just hit that floater, I've got like, there was a flame in me that really just came out of nowhere. I'm like, and I feel like when it comes to sports, especially playoff time, like, you're just very like the visceral, like, you just like, it's kill or be killed. So when he did that the quad, like, to the crowd, I really just wanted to go through that screen and just tackle him. But but I mean, great game. The Knicks, like, we are still in it. There's only game one, but I just wanted to start off by saying that, Trae Young, I don't like you right now.
So, look, I can understand if folks aren't a fan of Trae Young, but the competitor in me and also the undersized non-pro athlete in me is like, that's how I would be. That's how I am out when I'm, playing for fun, right? So, if you got folks around you just hating on you, I want to stick it to them. So I found it kind of hilarious, and it brought me back to the choke by Reggie Miller, which is one of my favorite Knick moments. So I may have grown up in New York, but I have not been a huge Knicks fan. So in fact, my favorite performer at the Garden is actually Reggie Miller. Yeah, so I'm glad at least we had some time to enjoy like a sport that we love, and in a city that's finally awakened in basketball terms. But I also know that there were a couple things that really bothered you in terms of like news wise. That's part of our weekly rewind. So the big one is the all the corporations that had a lot of nice things to say about Black Lives Matter, but the results in terms of their hiring practices may have actually gotten worse. So if you want to, take us through that.
So I'll say the headline to the article that I shared with you, Cris. It says tech companies that made Black Lives Matter pledges have fewer Black employees. Now, off my first initial thought was like, really? Like, you claim you're going to do, like, companies claim that they're going to do this and, help with it. One thing I will say is that they did give $4.6 billion out. So that is one, plus that has happened. But I feel like just knowing that, people who look like me aren't being hired at these companies that are pledging, for this like movement, it just rubbed me the wrong way. But when I first, read that, that clickbait headline, I was, furious at first. But then I did some more research. So I wanted to show you this report from this company called Blendor. And basically what they do is they use like data science to help analyze the DEI stats within companies. So they work with like your Amazon. They work with Amazon, Salesforce, Walmart, and plenty of other companies, I'm sure. But basically, they have their own platform that gives you like a blend score, which basically measures your DEI within your company. So they recently came out with this report called the State of DEI in Tech. So I wanted to share it with you really quickly.
All right, I'm looking forward to this.
So the full report itself is, I think, like 56 pages. Me personally, I like to read reports like this, so I'm going to read the entire thing. I'm only halfway through, but this is where the initial headlines came from, is from these 4 stats here. So first stat, of course, is the 20 fewer Black employees at the companies who pledged who made a Black Lives Matter pledge, but they only got to survey 240 companies. And then out of that, the 240 companies analyzed made a pledge or statement. Oh, another thing I wanted to mention is that they're getting this data from companies that are on stock markets, so they have all of their reports out. But that was one of the highlights that they found through the report. The pipeline problem, women, and the stat here is that there's 49% fewer Asian executives. Another big one, which I didn't know which was a role, was the NEO. It's the named executive officer. And basically they're like the CEO and the CFO in one. And there are 0 Black women within this role. I was like, sheesh.
Yeah. So what's interesting about this report is, so one, the operational definition of pipeline, and we're involved with several orgs and the work that we do in our respective companies. When we talk about pipeline, it's usually that talent pipeline, but the pipeline that they're talking about here is actually leadership pipeline. And what stands out here is the 49% fewer Asian executives. Have I not been talking about that in all the times? In previous episodes, we talked about Stop Asian Hate. I've actually derailed our main topic just to discuss what Stop Asian Hate and that movement means to me. And I brought it home to the fact that we, Asians and AAPI folks, we might be overrepresented in certain areas like finance or tech, but we are so underrepresented in leadership roles. And this report by Blendor clearly highlights that. And that the NEO's one is also really disturbing too.
Yeah, and just to see that there's 0, they didn't even put a number, they just wrote 0. And that I feel like stands out so much more. But yes, like I was saying before, this report, just going through it so far, it really highlighted a bunch of stuff for me that I think is very, very useful. And just to have an idea of what the working world is like, and how that there's such a lack of diversity within these the leadership roles is very, very helpful. So I do encourage you all to read it, to learn more about this company, as well as where companies are lacking in their DEI.
Thanks for sharing, Derrick. Shout out to Blendor for all that work, all that research work. And Blendor, if you all need some additional capacity and help and additional insights, come through to What Now Works or over at GrantAnswers. We might be able to help because we are in these spaces, particularly around the tech field. Yeah. So instead of another weekly rewind, I wanted to ask what, as a quick follow-up, what are some solutions that pop into your head that maybe haven't been tried enough to help like really improve this?
Diversity in leadership, I feel like the easiest solution would be just to hire more people of color. Like that is the easiest way. And I feel like a lot of companies, they're just based off this report, there's only 240 companies in it. So compared to the, thousands and millions of other companies, just these 240 is where you're seeing these stats at. So I don't want to, throw dirt on like the entire tech itself in terms and saying that they're not, they don't have these, these people of color that are in these like senior level roles. Cause I'm pretty sure they do. We know probably like a good handful of people. But when it comes to solutions, I mean, hiring would be the best bet. But in terms of that, making sure that the company itself has like mentors to where they can train people, I think that's something that a lot of companies are like starting to do now. But that's one of the best ways to kind of groom people for like these leadership roles, because some people are born, in like within like these roles and like these skills, but I feel like there's a handful of people or more people who need to be kind of trained to take this kind of role. So having mentors in place, I think, would be one of the best things that companies could do.
100% agree with you on that leadership end of that pipeline. But for the early career part of that pipeline, the big thing for me is companies, I think you have overinvested in predominantly white institutions that you might consider elite. And you might have a better bang for your buck, actually, if you went to, let's say, HBCUs or Hispanic serving institutions. And, there's clearly talent there, because Derrick and I work with a lot of Black and Latino Hispanic talent. And I think at this point you would get a bigger bang for your buck if you're a corporation trying to get early career talent. If you aligned your college and university like recruitment strategies away from predominantly white institutions. So that's my deal. But I'm sure we have at least 3 offshoot main topic episodes on that, and those are definitely gonna come up. But now I want to refocus on our main topic, which is minimum wage. And I'm gonna start by sharing a Bank of America like noteworthy move. And this article is actually from CNBC, right? So Bank of America has pledged that it will boost minimum wage to $25 an hour. And by the year 2025, on top of that, they're telling their vendors, right, everything from folks who supply food in their cafeterias to folks who supply like their computers and all their technology equipment, those vendors have to pay workers at least $15 an hour as well, right? So it's a 2-pronged move. And I thought this was incredibly important to talk about, like right after tax time, with us as business owners, and with like the talent that we interact with on a daily basis, and the corporations that we interact with on a daily basis. So I want to start that off as sort of like where as like the point where we can discuss this idea of a minimum wage. Is 25 too high? Is it still too low? Or we'll give you all a third option. Is it just right? So, Mr. Reward, tell me about the rewards of a 25 an hour minimum wage.
More money, more money, more money, more money.
That's pretty simple. All right. Go
Yeah,
on.
yeah. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that anybody working would want to, not have a salary where they're making 25 an hour. I think for Bank of America to do this, they're definitely, setting the example for other companies that are, thinking about raising their wages. But for anybody working there or anybody who plans to work there, they're pretty set. And I feel like this would be very, very good for anybody who's new to, the job market, because when I did the math, 25 an hour came to be like around like 51,000. So as if you're coming out of college or coming out of like any type of like training, having a $51,000 salary, I think is a good start compared to where you probably came from. So being able to have a salary like that, like off rip, I think is awesome. Not like, I feel like for Bank of America, they're going to have a lot of people that are going to be applying to their jobs now. So for them, they're like the bank right now. If I want to work and I want to see myself grow within, I mean, not grow, well, that's something that we have to see in terms of like how they have people grow, but in terms of like starting off with a very a livable wage, I know that's where I would want to actually be. So I'm pretty sure their like human resources teams is getting ready for a whole bunch of people to start, just applying for their jobs here. And another risk/reward I kind of want to mention is that now with that happening, this is going to be a very competitive job market too. So as a smaller company, or I mean, as for any company, if I'm paying you 25 an hour, I expect you to produce results. So just know that while this is a good thing for this company to be providing this wage, just know that the hiring side is going to be a lot more competitive now because they're paying $25. But I do think this is an amount that is, maybe it's a little bit too high just to kind of like start off with. But I do think this $25 an hour is a good like point where we should all kind of get towards in terms of making sure that everybody has a livable wage.
So all great points. And now I have to make my rebuttal.
Mhm.
But before I do, I have another article to share. So
What you got?
And I'm gonna diversify sort of the sources that we draw upon. So here's an article from Fox Business News. So early last year, before the pandemic really took a hold of the entire country, Bank of America also made a commitment to invest $35 billion in high tech. So this is the transformation of Bank of America into more digital banking. So things like mobile check deposits, right? So you know what that means? That means they're going to need less people. And that is at the heart of my biggest risk to sort of this move to a $25 minimum wage. It's going to add to the cost of businesses per employee. And if the main purpose of business is to, secure profit, then the only way to minimize that would be to decrease their labor costs, which means letting go of people or not hiring as many people. And this isn't just for large companies. This is also for small, medium-sized businesses like the ones that we have. So there is this point of diminishing returns. I don't know if $25 an hour is it, right? I can speak from experience that at GrantAnswers, the most recent team members we brought on, the lowest rate we've paid is 21 an hour. And I know as, the CEO of GrantAnswers, that was a little hard, especially during the pandemic. But I did think that the talent justified it. In fact, I paid more than the salary kind of expectation of the talent, right? And we talked about that in a previous episode. You know, I want to exceed the expectations of the folks who want to contribute to Grant Answers. But 25 really makes me think hard of how many folks I can, you know, contract you, right? And if this, let's say, and I really doubt it's gonna take hold on a super large scale or like at the federal level, because we're still at what, 750
Yeah.
on the federal level. I think 15 is definitely way overdue on the federal level. But once you start to get to the 20s and then now like the 25, another risk is that the only companies that can pay 25 an hour are these large corporations. What's going to happen to the small and medium sized businesses? If we're going to try to keep up, we're going to have to pay more, but that's going to cut into our, you know, profits. And it's less likely that those small and medium sized businesses are going to be able to exist because they have to pay so much for labor costs, right? And what you will have is sort of, you're going to say bye to all those charming mom and pop stores because all you will see are the large corporate retail outlets dominating those spaces. All you will see are large corporations dominating commerce. And I know, you know, there's this ethos in America where like small business really drives the economy. That's going to happen less and less with a rise in minimum wage to something like 25. So I'm not sure that the number is perfect yet. I like you think it might be a little bit too high. And again, I want to make this clear. Individual folks, yes, I think you all deserve it. But I'm looking out for like the balance of the health of the economy. Well, economists are doing that. But I'm also approaching this as a small business owner. I'm also approaching this as a taxpayer. And then like this overall health of the economy. Like I don't want less jobs out there for you all, right? I don't want this investment in technology to like take over roles that you could have had. And a rise in minimum wage, I fear, might accelerate these. So there are unintended consequences. It's easy to see more money, more money, more money. So easy to see. But again, what we do at the Risk Reward Show, what we do in running What Now Works and in running Grant Answers is giving our clients the edge and giving them like like better insights based on data. We can project things, you know, a couple years down the line. We're trying to give you all fresh ideas. So we need to look beyond like that, 25 an hour. I do like that commitment to having vendors pay at least 15 is great by Bank of America. In the same way, it reminds me of folks who are listed on the NASDAQ, right? The NASDAQ put out that requirement to have more diversity like on the boards. Like that is great leadership, right? That's how you use your power for good. But again, when I get back to this number, as we put out in the poll, is it too high or too low? I'm going to say that it's slightly a bit too high, but not too far off from it. So yeah, those are my big risks to that. What say you?
I mean, what you said, I was really like, like I never thought about it like that. But the thing that hit me the most is that teams are definitely going to get smaller. Like I said before, if I'm paying you this much, you better produce something. And another thing I just wanted to mention is that it was the 35 billion that they're putting in
for
high tech,
investments
right?
in high tech.
So that means just everything is about to become automated. A lot of things are about to become automated. So this goes against. Well, this just basically goes with what I said earlier, that there's going to be a more competitive market now. So make sure that you don't have like those basic skills of like, I know how to, do this and do that, but think like ahead of what's coming. Being the one who knows how to use these tools that are going to be, making your like job easier, but you're going to be using your, I guess, like your mind on like those high level things more. So how can you make sure that you're communicating, making like the right moves and stuff like that. So I think those skills are going to be more highly sought after with this rise in minimum wage, or rise in wages.
One big point about minimum wage, I think it's ridiculous that it's static. Like
Yeah.
$7.50, right? One, like federal government, how is minimum wage not even double digits per hour yet? I don't care where you live. Like, how is it not double digits yet? Right? Folks have been fighting for 15, and like that sounds about right, no matter where you are in this country. But two, we have enough advancements in technology where, for me, I think minimum wage should be in relation to inflation, because it's not really the sheer like dollar amount that I get. It's how much I can buy with that money. And inflation has something to say about that. If you're out there trying to hoard gasoline in plastic bags, right, you're feeling inflation, right? So for me, like minimum wage should be able to change literally monthly at least, right? And it's based on like inflation targets. Like, how much can I buy with, with the money that I have? So it shouldn't be, it shouldn't be stagnant, first of all. And two, like, my God, like, how is it not double digits? So I want so here's my suggestion, right? And I know the federal government's always slow on things, but minimum wage should be a dynamic number pegged to inflation rates, right? Just like in the same way, in a similar way, like taxes probably should be like graduated instead of like a flat, 10% tax for everyone. Like, wait, that would be unfair to those who make a lot less, right? If you keep it flat. So in the same way, it shouldn't be stagnant like that. And we have enough info on location as well. So it could also be, a factor of location and inflation that's pegged to a dynamic number for minimum wage. But hey, this is us at Risk Reward Show, right?
Just
trying
talking.
to be forward thinking, trying to help government businesses find the upside in their endeavors. So this is what we do, and hopefully we gave you a few things to think about, and maybe extend the discussion a bit further.
Most definitely.
So that was a good, straight to the point main topic. We will take it to Twitter Spaces for a little bit. I did get a question about going back to college as an older adult, and I want to tackle that while we also, expand upon this discussion on minimum wage over in Twitter Spaces, which will probably start around 6:15, because we're about to wrap up with our final segment, the right move right now. Derrick, what is your right move right now besides watching the Knicks game?
Right move right now. I would want everybody to go check out the episode I did for the Creators Asylum. We did that last night. Basically spoke about tech in the culture. So if you head over to their IG page, you'll see the full show there. I just wanted to give them a shout out again, and thank you, Omar, for having me on there.
Awesome. The right move right now for me is, look into Bitcoin. And again, I saw it hit 30K again. Mm-hmm. So if you're like a technician, or if you're technically inclined, if you're looking at patterns, that 30K level is sort of like around 57% from the all-time highs, which has been like that percentage has been the deep pullbacks in previous downdrafts in Bitcoin as well. So if you're looking at patterns and charts, that might have been a level to get into on Sunday. I did not. I'm waiting it out, but it might have been a double bottom, and I think it picked back up to 37. Mm-hmm. Again, we are not financial advisors. If you notice what I said, right? I said look into it. I didn't say go buy. So this is merely for informational and educational purposes. We don't recommend any securities. But I will say in terms of securities, I'll close out with, I had a good day at DraftKings.
Okay.
Not DraftKings using it, but DraftKings as an investor. I know you hold it. I've held it for a while. It is definitely a long-term hold for me. It's dipped by a lot. It went up like 9% today. So yeah. I stayed with it. But on top of that, I bought some options.
Okay.
And I think I'm up like 230% on those options.
Ooh.
And I think I'm gonna do this within the next 10 days. I think I'm gonna execute my first options contract.
Okay.
So I think I'm gonna call my broker and say, hey, before expiration, let me get those 100 or a couple hundred shares that is inherent in that options contract. So I'll keep you all up to date on that for next week.
All right, we'll do. I'll leave you off with something else, like really quickly. Well, it's running now, but Upstart did really, really well for me for the past like few days. It hit around like 80, so I bought a few shares there, but now it's hovering. I think today it hit 160. So that was that was awesome. A nice little come up.
So we're gonna do a revisiting of like our portfolios, right? In an upcoming episode. We are wrapping up season 1, but I can't believe we're on 16 episodes. That makes 4 months.
Yeah, man.
All right, so we're gonna keep it consistent. I forgot how many subscribers we have. I think it's around 30. It's all good. We're gonna do more in terms of sharing out clips. Look out for us on LinkedIn. The polls are coming. But again, thank you all for listening. Thank you all for sharing. Make sure you follow, share, comment on the YouTube channel. Doesn't matter which episode, we'll get back to you on it. On IG, if you DM us, we will definitely respond. So keep it coming, and we are thankful for your support.
As always, that's a great way to close out.
Awesome. I'll see you all next week.
All right.
But we will head over to Twitter Spaces in a bit.
All right. See you.
All right.